Fabiano.
Hello, my name is Christina.
Welcome back to the junior school. Today is World Children's Day and we are celebrating with a non-uniform day. So let's take a trip down memory lane.
Today we'll be asking you a few questions to find out how the junior school was a few years ago.
When were you at the school and how many years were you there?
Well, good morning. My name is Shane O'Leary, and I was at the junior school from 1965 to 1968, so a long time ago. And I think I was around 9 years old to 12 years old over that period.
What were the houses called? Today our houses are called Crisolidis, Kenyan, etc. Were your houses called any different names?
Our houses, we had Stone, we had Kenny, and we had Gayford. And I was the games captain of Stone. I do remember that.
What nationalities were at the school at that time?
We had many nationalities. In fact, I kind of think of it as the United Nations. You know, we had kids from the United States, from Canada, where I'm from. We had kids from South America, Brazil. Particularly, I had a good friend who was from Brazil. We had kids from Zambia, in Africa. It's not called Zambia anymore. We had kids from Israel, Indonesia, India, and of course we had lots of Greek Cypriots and kids from Great Britain. But it was a very, very international group. And it gave me my first exposure to diversity, which is something that I've always cherished, and it's really served me well through my whole life, is being able to understand other cultures and relate to other cultures.
Did you have any favorite teachers, and why were they your favorite, if so?
Yes, there's one teacher in particular that I remember very well, and he had a major influence on me, from a very early age. His name was George Beavis, and he was the maths teacher. I was always inclined towards maths and sciences, but he really gave me an enthusiasm for those subjects, and he taught in a way that just made it's so easy to understand, and he was very, very interesting. And like I said, if I had to think back of all the teachers I've had, and I went on to do engineering, and I have a master's degree in business, he's probably the teacher that had the most influence on me, partially because it happened at a very young age, where I was highly influenced by that sort of thing. But he was just an amazing person, really.
Did you have any technology at the school back then?
At those days, 1965 to 1969, there wasn't a lot in the way of calculators or computers. But Mr. Beavis, this man was way ahead of his time. He was a genius. He actually built a small computer that used a language called binary, which is sort of the basis of modern day computers. And he created this thing, and if you wanted to add, he could add and subtract. And if you wanted to add 2 plus 3, he would put 2 lights in, and then 3 lights, and then it would give him 5 lights. So it actually could do basic calculations. We were just amazed by this. So that was really the only technology, and it was really specific to him. During my time, we also had John Glenn, who was the first American to orbit the Earth in a spacecraft. And so while it's not really related to the programs here at the school, it made us think a lot about science. And before he came, we talked a lot about the planets and the universe. And so we did a lot of thinking about science and technology related to that. And that was a very exciting moment for us at the school.
That's amazing, that's wonderful. Now, do you have any specific favorite thing about the school?
The thing that I remember probably being the most favorite thing is just the great friendships I made with all kinds of people. And many of those friendships have lasted to today. But it was a very intense period in our childhood, and we've made very solid bonds, and so over the years, even though we don't see each other maybe for 10 or 15 years, when we get together, it's like it was yesterday, and no time's gone by. And in fact, I've seen some of these people this week while I've been here, and they're just great friends. That it's friendships that'll last a lifetime. I think that's probably the thing, that I remember the most from the junior school.
Did you have any good memories here at the school?
I have lots of good memories. You know, what I remember, I guess, was just what a joyous time of life it was. Because we had the school, we had great friends, we had sports, we were singing in the assembly, we had birthday parties from the friends we had at school, and there were even the beginnings of crushes on girls and things like that at that time of life. So it was a very memorable time in one's life.
That's wonderful again. Now, the school, I would say, is not that strict now. However, how was it back then? Was it less strict? Was it more strict?
I think I'd have to say, based on what I know from the current school, it was a lot more strict. Our headmaster, his name was Mr. Bazasto, and he had a cane in his office, and he would sort of patrol the halls, and if he thought you were misbehaving in any way, you'd feel this whack on your leg. So I don't think you would do that in schools today. Also in the classroom we had a big board with everybody's name, and if you did something really good you got a star, and if you did something bad you got this big black mark. And if you got 3 black marks in a row, you were sent to the principal's office. The other thing I would say, which was tough, was whenever you did a test or an exam, all the marks were posted on the wall for everybody to see what your mark was, with a big line who had passed and who had failed. So there was a little bit of shame involved in that. I don't think you would see that today. I don't think that would be permitted. Some people think it was a bad thing, some people think it was a good thing. It's a very competitive world out there, so it's not inconsistent with the way the world is, but I don't think those methods are used in teaching today.
What punishments or consequences did you experience except going to the principal's office?
Well, I think I mentioned the blackboard. That was, punishment. The occasional whack. I was a pretty good kid, so I didn't have a lot of problems, I have to admit. But if you were a chronic misbehavior, things were dealt with, I would say.
Now, there are so many sports in this world that we live in, but what sports did you play as a child?
So at the school, we had a very active track and field program, so lots of running and hurdles, that kind of thing. And it was very well organized. And we would compete against the other houses, and so there was a great sense of community for your house. We played a lot of football, soccer. I was the captain of the football team, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I was games captain, so I was actively involved in many of the sports. But the sports program here was terrific. It was really well run.
Well, that was it today, Mr. Shane O'Leary. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it. It's great to be back at the school.
We enjoyed interviewing you, and we hope you enjoyed it too.
Thank you.